The first time I saw the ticket, I thought it was a mistake, a prank from one of the late-night regulars at Joe's Diner, where I've worked the overnight shift for 5 years, but the name on the order was one I knew all too well. Eugene Wilson, our most faithful customer, who always sat in booth 7 and ordered the same thing every night. But the thing was, Eugene wasn't there, and no one else was in the diner either, just the neon signs humming outside, the coffee brewing, and me, alone in the kitchen with this inexplicable order. At first, I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe someone had called in an order for him and I had just forgotten. But as I started making his usual burger, fries, and coffee, a shiver ran down my spine. It was 2:47 a.m., and Eugene always came in at 3:04, like clockwork, to grab a bite before his night shift at the factory down the street. I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting to see him walk in, his worn denim jacket and baseball cap, his tired eyes, but the door stayed still, the only sound the sizzle of the burger on the grill and the soft hum of the refrigerators. As I finished up the order and placed it on the counter, I noticed something odd. A small piece of paper, folded into a neat square, tucked under the edge of the plate, with a single sentence, typed out in a font I didn't recognize. "He's waiting." At that moment, the lights in the diner flickered, just for a split second, and I felt a presence, a weight in the air, as if someone had indeed just walked in. But when I turned to look, there was no one, just the empty booths and the long counter, stretching out like a ghostly finger, pointing towards the back of the diner. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just fatigue, the result of too many late nights and early mornings, but as the minutes ticked by, and Eugene's order sat, untouched on the counter, I started to feel a creeping sense of dread, a feeling that something was off, that the very fabric of my routine, my predictable, mundane world, was starting to unravel. It wasn't until 3:04 exactly on the dot that I heard the sound, a low creak, like the hinge of a door, coming from booth 7, where Eugene always sat, and that's when I saw it, a small, almost imperceptible movement, a shift in the air, as if someone had just stood up or sat down. But when I turned to look, there was still no one, just the empty booth, the vinyl seat, the Formica table, and the lingering sense of presence, of being watched. I knew then that I had to get out of there, to call my manager, to report the strange occurrence, but as I turned to grab the phone, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror behind the counter, and for a moment, I could have sworn I saw Eugene standing just behind me, his eyes fixed on me, his expression, a mixture of sadness and warning, and that's when it hit me. The orders, they hadn't stopped, they had just changed from food to messages, and I was the messenger, the one who had been serving an empty booth all along, but serving who or what and why, and as I stood there, frozen in terror, the questions swirled in my mind, like a maelstrom, pulling me under into a darkness from which I might never emerge. The phone, still clutched in my hand, suddenly felt like a lifeline, a connection to the world outside, but as I raised it to my ear, I heard the voice, low, raspy, and unmistakable. "He's still waiting." And that's when everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the floor, the diner was empty, the lights were on, and the order, Eugene's order, was still sitting on the counter untouched, but the note, the piece of paper, was gone, replaced by a single sentence, scrawled on the edge of the plate in red ink, "You're next." And that's when I knew I had to get out, to run, to never look back. But as I stumbled out into the night, the neon signs of the diner, still humming, still shining, like a beacon, calling me back, I realized I might not be able to escape. The orders, the messages, the presence, it might all be following me, haunting me, waiting for me, and I might never be able to stop serving, never be able to stop waiting, for the one who's still out there waiting, watching, and waiting for me to serve him again and again and again.